After 5 straight first-round losses at the start of the 2009 NBA season, the Denver Nuggets traded iconic guard Allen Iverson for former Finals MVP Chauncey Billups. Despite not having Iverson's iconic status, the Nuggets massively improved with Billups, as they won 54 games and got the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. In the postseason, Denver made a run all the way to the Western Conference Finals. But still, Billups' time in Denver is underappreciated. So, let's break it down. The foundation of Billups' offensive game was his elite shooting, as in the 2009 playoffs, he shot 47% from 3 on 6 attempts per game. Billups was proficient off both the catch and the dribble. Billups could use his pull-up three-point shooting in a variety of ways. When defenders gave him a sliver of space, he would make them pay by firing threes over the top of them. This made him lethal in semi-transition when the defense wasn't fully set yet. And of course, Billups' ability as a pull-up three practitioner made him elite coming off of pick and rolls. Billups' elite pull-up shooting threat stressed defenses and forced them to play him tighter. Billups was able to use this tight coverage to his advantage. Despite being 32 years old during the 2009 playoffs, Billups combined effective hesitation moves with a strong burst, sturdy frame, and tight handle to beat his man off the dribble. In addition, Chauncey could use all of these driving moves out of pick and roll, blowing past big men who were scared of his jumpers. But he added some extra moves on top of that. Perimeter defenders were constantly worried about Billups' threat coming over ball screens. As a result, he could counter this by rejecting screens with vicious crossovers and bursts of acceleration to get inside. Here, he beats the big man's high drop with a vicious crossover, slithering into a gap for a finish inside. Billups was good at getting downhill off a single move, whether it was a crossover, a burst of speed, a hesitation, or an in-and-out dribble. However, at 32 years old, he lacked the shiftiness to string together multiple moves off the dribble, which made his driving game more predictable. Despite this, Billups was still able to pressure the rim at a good rate for his age. However, once he got to the rim, it was a different story. Billups is one of the worst rim finishers of all time, and in the 2009 playoffs, he shot a putrid 50% at the rim. At just 6'3", Billups lacked the height and vertical explosion to finish among the trees inside. In addition, it did not help that he usually played next to two non-shooting big men, so when he drove into the paint, he was usually met by multiple big bodies. As a result, Billups would sometimes choose to not challenge a big man in the paint, instead opting for a pass or settling for a jumper. However, Billups was able to augment his driving game by getting to the free throw line. Just like his similarly styled successor, Kyle Lowry, Billups was great at using his girthy frame to initiate contact and draw fouls. Like most modern players do, Billups did a nice job of going up for a shot immediately when he felt contact to send him to the line. However, Billups' scoring game was just a part of what made him a brilliant offensive player. Billups was a phenomenal laydown passer when he got a step inside, creating easy looks for his big men. He did a nice job of jumping to draw opposing bigs out of position before snapping interior passes at difficult angles. And he could make these passes using a variety of deliveries. As here on this play, he used the great crossover to get inside on CP3 before smartly drifting towards the middle of the paint to draw the opposing big man more out of position, then jumping in the air to create a better passing angle to hit Kenyon Martin with a great over-the-head pass who, despite bobbling it, finishes it off with an easy dunk. However, at times, his size prevented him from seeing difficult interior passes, as on this play right here, he is surrounded by multiple Lakers, so he can't see the pass to Nene, who is open inside. Nonetheless, like on that play right there, Chauncey could create efficient offense for his teammates by drawing the defense in with his drives before hitting his teammates on the perimeter with good kick-out passes. The final aspect of Billups' passing game that stood out to me was his transition passing, as he always looked to push the ball on the break. It was amazing at finding his big men with nice hit-ahead passes as they were running in transition. And the touch on these passes was great, lofting them perfectly over the top of the defense for easy dunks. Though his game was predominantly on ball, Chauncey added nice further value by being a good off-ball player. As I mentioned before, naturally, he was a really good catch-and-shoot shooter, which made him a threat spotting up from behind the arc. One thing I didn't like about Chauncey's off-ball game was his lack of movement running around or cutting, as this play was one of the few times he curled off a screen and hit a jumper while on the move. Part of the reason for Billups' more limited off-ball role was the lack of great passers on the Denver roster, specifically perimeter players who could find him open for easy jumpers. Overall, I would classify Billups as a borderline elite offensive player with his blend of fantastic shooting, crafty foul drawing, and great playmaking. As in the 09 playoffs, he put up 21 points per 75 possessions on a ridiculous plus 13% true shooting relative to his opponent's defenses. However, his clear, glaring weakness, his lack of rim finishing, made it so sometimes in big moments he'd disappear, like he did in the last two games of Denver's season, as in games 5 and 6 versus the Lakers in the conference finals. He averaged a measly 11 points per game in the two losses that stopped the Nuggets from reaching the finals. Defensively, one of the main things that stood out to me were Billups' hands, as they were super quick and precise. He could slap the ball away from the man he was guarding, or unsuspectingly ambushing players in help situations to get steals. Another aspect of Billups' defense that stood out to me was his switchability, as he could use his girthy frame to body up bigger wings and even big men inside when they tried to back him down in the post. His hands also helped him here, knocking the ball away from bigger players who tried to attack him. An issue came from Billups' lack of size, as bigger players could just shoot right over him, but still, these shots were lower percentage looks than easy layups inside. On the perimeter, I would classify Billups' defense as inconsistent. In the conference finals versus the Lakers, he got blown by several times by a weaker offensive player in Derek Fisher. However, when he defended Kobe Bryant, he regularly turned up great defensive possessions, showing that he could be an elite perimeter defender when he locked in. He just didn't have the energy to do so consistently at his age. His closeout defense could be especially iffy, as several times he would fail to chop his feet or take a bad angle on these closeouts, letting his man blow right by him. Again, these were only a few instances, but to illustrate the lack of consistent effort from Billups on the defensive end. Off the ball, Chauncey was generally buttoned up about making rotations, whether it was tagging a big man inside or rotating out to the pop and dunk to Nowitzki in their series versus the Mavericks. As Denver would often hedge or put two on the ball in these pick and pop actions from the Mavericks, so it was Chauncey's responsibility to rotate over to Dirk. Though, like his man defense, he could be inconsistent and he didn't always make the necessary rotation. And naturally, at only 6'3", Chauncey offered almost no rim protection, which greatly capped the ceiling of his defensive impact. With all of that being said, I still view Billups in the 09 playoffs as a slight positive on defense, especially for a guard. Well, that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe, and see you all next time.